Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, instead of covering some news from this week, I'm going to dive back into some of the details of Apple's private cloud compute, which they unveiled last year as part of their privacy assurances for cloud AI computing. Today, I'm going to review some of the measures Apple has gone to ensure that its Apple Intelligence infrastructure is private and secure. Let's jump into it. All right, so the first key aspect of hardware security in Apple's PCC is the system on a chip at the heart of every PCC server. Every chip has a secure cryptographic identity that cannot be tampered with once the chip has been manufactured. I'll cover this a bit more in a separate video if you're interested in the details behind that. But the key point is that every CPU is uniquely tracked throughout the process. Second, every server printed circuit board is inspected optically and with X-rays to ensure all components meet Apple's specification. This measure seems aimed at catching supply chain threats. There have been instances in the past of electronics manufacturers inserting additional chips into printed circuit boards in order to compromise them. You can guess who was the culprit in those instances. Thirdly, each chassis has a tamper switch that will reset the power supply for the entire chassis in the event someone opens the lid. This would catch anyone trying to compromise hardware by connecting to it while it's running. This tamper switch is also monitored and recorded, and action is taken if an anomaly is detected. Fourth, as the components are manufactured, configured, and installed in a variety of places, Apple requires its logistics partners to actively monitor its shipments and to log a chain of custody for the hardware as it moves between locations. Obviously, this is another supply chain security measure to catch any tampering in transit. Fifth, before the hardware is turned on and added to the fleet, there's a certificate ceremony that takes place. This ceremony includes Apple employees from 3 different organizations and an outside auditor to reduce the risk of insider collusion. During this ceremony, the location of the hardware and its constituent components are checked to ensure they match what Apple has recorded in its hardware database. The tamper switch is also checked to make sure it's not been activated, and transparency logs are referenced to make sure they've been published. At this point, a certificate is finally issued to the hardware that will enable it to start serving requests. This key step in the process is also secured by an offline certificate authority using hardware security modules and is recorded in an immutable log. And for good measure, the hardware security modules are stored in tamper-evident bags, which are then put into a safe, which requires multiple people to unlock. So there you have it. There are all the steps and processes that Apple is using to ensure the privacy and security of its private cloud compute infrastructure. There's a ton here, and it strikes me as pretty costly probably for Apple. If you accept Apple at their word that they're doing all these things, this sounds like some very sound practices to me. As with any system this complex, there's bound to be flaws, but the point of all these measures is to make exploiting those flaws very difficult to pull off and even harder to pull off without detection. And I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I'm not a security expert on this stuff, but I would imagine these processes are similar to steps the government takes or perhaps are used by the financial industry. If anyone has a perspective on this, or if I got anything wrong, please leave a comment down below. But for me, I think it's fair to say that Apple is putting real effort into the privacy and security of its customers' data. And with that, I'll leave this one here. As always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.